Good evening. You're watching Breaking Today News right here on Switch TV. I am Lincoln Wambogo. Our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. We have a lot in line for you tonight, but first, let's take a look at the headlines.
So we are not interested in further abuse and further legal processes. We want the resources to reach our people as soon as possible.
Council of Governors faults the appellate court for shooting down the Building Bridges Initiative bill.
Vaccine tunapata kwa amu ndogo ndogo, kama last time tulipewa 900, saizi kidogo tumepata 1500, lakini hata hiyo ukiangalia huu umati uko hapa hata iwezi chukua siku 2 ama 3 itakuwa imeisha.
Civil servants across the country in panic as a 14-day window for them to get vaccinated against COVID-19 elapses today. And Kenya receives 880,000 doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine from the U.S. in its first of 2 shipments of 1.76 million doses. Glad you're watching. Send in your feedback and comments to our SMS line 111 Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Wambogo on all social media handles. Now, the Council of Governors has faulted the appellate court for shutting down the BBI initiative. The council argues that the court did not consider substantive issues contained in that document that will see the devolved governments become greatest beneficiaries. Our senior political reporter Joel Chacha with more.
The Council of Governors, through its Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee, has joined the bandwagon of groups weighing on the Court of Appeal's ruling on BBI bill seeking to amend the 2010 Constitution.
We are not interested in further abuse and further legal processes. We want the resources to reach our people as soon as possible.
While expressing their discontentment, the Council has announced that it will seek to amend the clauses that do not require a referendum through Parliament.
They also include Article 203 of the Constitution on equitable share, and this is the one which provides for increase of the percentage of funds allocated to county governments from a minimum of 15% to 35%. This will strengthen devolution and ensure that county governments have adequate funds to carry out their operations. And we have Article 204 of the Constitution, the Equalization Fund, and the amendments seeks to increase the lifespan of this fund from 20 years to 30 years. And this will take care of the marginalized areas of this country.
The COG says it will work with other stakeholders, including Legal Affairs Committee of both Houses of Parliament, to ensure the amendments are passed before the 2022 general elections. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joel Chacha. The decision by the Court of Appeal to nullify the Building Bridges Initiative bill, terming it unconstitutional on Friday, has continued to spark mixed reactions across the country. A section of political leaders from both ends are now warning Attorney General Paul Kihara against challenging the appellate judge's verdict. Robert Omer with more details.
Only 3 days after the 7-judge bench of the appellate court issued the verdict against the proposed constitutional amendments through the Building Bridges Initiative, the BBI proponents have vowed to challenge the decision at the highest in the land, the Supreme Court. However, this move has been termed as a thorn in the flesh by a section of political and constitutional elites.
We've seen this morning that the Attorney General is preferring an appeal on at least 3 main issues: the issue of the basic structure, popular initiative, and whether the president can be subjected to civil proceedings in court.
The chances of succeeding at the Supreme Court in terms of trying to revive the BBI, it's 0 chances. If it would not be good use of their time to make an appeal on something like that. In fact, what they should do, they should join me to support my appeal to provide for multiple choice referendum in our country.
Omoki Murara, an advocate of the High Court, is among the frontiers challenging the BBI funding expenditure. He says that President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his own personal capacity, is liable to refund the cash spent during the campaign to help rejuvenate the country's ailing economy.
The Attorney General may have a stake as a legal advisor to government to make sure that those contentious issues raised at the High Court and the Court of Appeal are brought to rest once and for all.
Maybe the last, okay.
Yes.
You're talking.
Yeah, so I think he has that duty. But what I can say that it is important that no more public funds should be expended on this process.
If a public officer causes a loss of money, then they shall be liable whether they're in office or not. So it means if it's the president, if it means it's the supporters who cause the loss of the money, they will remain liable now and in the future. So all it needs is a proper justice system, a proper government. If the DCI, if the DPP and the EFCC do not take any steps, my hope is that if there is a new government in place, a new president should appoint a commission of inquiry or appoint a special prosecutor to look into that. We have to get that money back.
Even after the High Court and Court of Appeal challenging the constitutional amendment as proposed by the Building Bridges Initiative document, the proponents of the same do not seem satisfied with the verdict and now aiming the Supreme Court to challenge the verdict of Court of Appeal. But only time will tell the fate of the same. Robert Ouma, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Robert Omer. Deputy President William Ruto has continued to drum up support for his bottom-up economic model, saying that the approach aims at empowering the youth. At the same time, Western leaders have assured Deputy President William Ruto that they will back him in his presidential bid come 2022. Flora Limuki reports.
In a meeting between Deputy President William Ruto and leaders, professionals and stakeholders from Kakamega, Bungoma, Busia and Vihiga counties, Ruto has reiterated that he will continue to focus on issue-based economic model in a bid to spur economic growth.
The political discourse in our country should be moved away from ethnicity and leaders to the realm of the economy and ordinary people. The bottom-up economic model is backed by the bottom-up governance model. That is why this engagement today is a culmination of engagements at different levels in various parts of Western Kenya with different actors from the society.
Leaders from the Western region have confidently assured Ruto that they will support him in his 2022 bid.
Na sisi yetu, naibu wa rais, itakuwa maombi. Tutakuombea wewe binafsi na pia tukuombee Wakenya waweze kuunga mkono ili yale yote tumezungumzia hapa Naivasha iweze kusaidia watu wa magharibi.
And I want to assure the Deputy President that we are going to work together from now. We are going to campaign together. We are going to win together. We will help you to govern and will ensure that we grow the GDP of this country to the same digits that South Korea, Singapore, and other tigers of the Far East.
Ruto has also called out on his critics of bottom-up economic model, saying that he won't be intimidated by a few leaders ganging up against him and asked them to present their manifesto to Kenyans.
Many of the other leaders have engaged in the economic conversation in different ways. I want to encourage them that in whatever way, even by opposing, it is still part of the conversation. It will help enrich and inform this conversation.
Deputy President William Ruto has continued to propagate for his bottom-up economic model and at the same time urged leaders to shun from ethnic-based campaigns, even as the political heat heightens in the country. Flora Limuki, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Flora Limuki. 880,000 doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine arrived at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi today morning. The vaccines are the first of two shipments totaling to 1.76 million doses donated by the U.S. government via the COVAX facility and transported by UNICEF, as Lizo Saleh reports.
The rollout of the national COVID-19 vaccination campaign is being led by the Ministry of Health with support from World Health Organization, UNICEF, Gavi, and other partners, making it the first time Moderna vaccines have been received in Kenya. This might widen COVID-19 vaccine portfolios available for the national vaccination rollouts. Besides procuring and transporting COVID-19 vaccines, UNICEF is also supporting the Ministry of Health in distribution, deploying, and managing the vaccine's cold chain equipment. The World Health Organization has so far approved 6 COVID-19 vaccines for emergency use, including AstraZeneca and Moderna. The organization emphasized on the safety of approved vaccines and has urged Kenyans to maintain public health measures while the national vaccination campaign is rolled out. United Green Movement Party co-leader Agostino Neto has also asked the Ministry of Health to use internet technologies to administer COVID-19 vaccination in villages.
We know countries like Ghana, countries like Rwanda have had vaccinations being delivered to the various sectors in drones. That drones are given the amount of vaccinations that are needed per village. Drones and internet technology is used to determine the amount of vaccinations a village requires.
Reporting for Switch TV, I am Lizwa Sali.
Thank you, Lizwa Sali. Today marks the final day by which all civil servants in the country are required to be vaccinated against COVID-19, a directive issued 2 weeks ago by the head of public service, Joseph Kenyua. Kenyua had on August 5th directed all public servants to get vaccinated by August 23rd or face disciplinary action.
Civil servants across the country are in a panic mode as the 14-day window for them to have received the COVID-19 jab ends today. Public Service Permanent Secretary Mary Kimonye said that civil servants who will not have received the first jab by today risk losing their salaries, benefits, and allowances. They could also be locked out of their offices, and this has prompted civil servants to take legal action against the commission, which, according to a constitutional lawyer, Bobby Mungam Kangi, is a direct violation of their rights.
Our Bill of Rights protects several rights for all Kenyans and for workers. One, the rights to dignity, the right to privacy, but also the right to personal belief and creed and religion.
Among the civil servants' complaints is that the decision was not made by law and prior notice was not given to the civil servants before the directive was issued. This indicates that protocol was not adhered to by the Service Commission, according to Mkangi.
If the servants had been approached and there was a conversation around this, they probably would have provided a better protocol.
There has been a notable rush for the vaccine, with civil servants being seen in long queues in various vaccination centers. According to an official in one of the centers, the vaccines they have in store cannot meet the present day demand, meaning lots of civil servants will not be able to get the jab before today's deadline as expected.
Vaccine tunapata kwa awamu ndogo ndogo, kama last time tulipewa 900, saizi kidogo tumepata 1500, lakini hata hiyo ukiangalia huu umati uko hapa, hata haiwezi chukua siku 2 ama 3, itakuwa imeisha.
A judge has yet to be allocated for the case that was filed yesterday at the High Court Registry in Nakuru. However, it presents a ray of hope for civil servants who are yet to receive their first jab. Scott Morioki, Twitch TV News.
Thank you, Scott Marioki. Detectives are investigating the circumstances under which a police officer allegedly burst into a hospital and shot dead his lover before turning the gun to himself. In the shocking incident that occurred in the wee hours of the morning, Police Constable Bernard Sivu allegedly stormed Njoro Sub-County Hospital and opened fire on his girlfriend Mary Nyambura, who had just been rushed in with a fractured leg. It is believed that the two were involved in an argument that turned quite ugly.
Kidogo kuja akaingia akatwanga ime mama risasi ka 15 hiyo, na sisi tukakimbia na madaktari wenye tulikuwa nao.
Huyu ni rafiki wake wa ndani kabisa, na rafiki wa ndani iko maneno mengine hatuwezi ongea kwa media, lakini unajua kwa marafiki ya ndani mnakulanga mpaka mnakula minofu. Pengine huenda minofu ilikuliwa lakini moja akakula kwa wingi. Before that, the officer at the station had taken over the duties at the station as the cell central. shift the 3. So while at the station, having taken over the duties, he excused himself. He wants to make a call out at the report office. Then after a while, came back to the station while appearing to be wild.
With that unfortunate story from Njoro Sub-County, we now take a short commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. Send in your feedback and comments to our SMS line 111 a Switch TV Kenya and a link at Wumbogo. Rampant cases of people using children living with disability to beg in the streets have forced the residents of Kericho County to take matters into their own hands and arrest the culprits who put children under the age of 10 at strategic positions around the county assembly and banks to beg as they watch the minors from a distance. Majibukitsa with more.
They are common in major towns and cities in the country. With the economy so tough, some resort to begging on the streets to keep food on their table. But just how sincere are these people asking for favors in the streets?
Nimekamatwa nikiwa na mtoto mlemavu, nilimleta hapa. Naleta tu kama kupata msaada. Nilisikia tu kwamba Kenya kuna msaada wamepewa, kwa nikaona kwamba nije na mimi nipate na mtoto wangu mlemavu ili nipate msaada wa kumlisha huyu mtoto.
According to the residents, these children are brought at 6 a.m. and picked up at 6 p.m. They are forced to endure the scorching sun or heavy downpours by their users, and nobody comes to their aid.
Kuna watu ambayo wanaleta ambayo wanaweza, wako na uwezo ya mwili yao. Sasa hawa ndio wanaleta watoto kwa barabara kuanzia saa 12 mpaka saa 12 jioni.
Kaunti hii ya Kericho iko na watoto walemavu ambao wametumiwa na wazazi wao ama watu wao kuomba pesa.
Confirming the arrest of one of the suspects of child abuse, Kericho County Commander Silas Matthew says that the operation to flush out these cases is ongoing.
The officers from Kericho police station rescued a child from the street. He was, this child was begging, and then they brought this child to the station and placed the child and the CPU, that is Child Protection Unit. So you don't know where they get these children, then they bring them to the streets. And the child is even given a target of money that they're intending to get from this child.
They all act poor and wear sympathetic looks. But why would an able-bodied person use a physically challenged child for a living? Majibu Kisao for Switch TV.
Thank you, Majibu Kitsao. U.S. President Joe Biden has pledged his unwavering commitment to get U.S. citizens and at-risk Afghans out of Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, but warned of hurdles ahead, including the threat of an attack from the ISIL-affiliated Islamic State in Khorasan province, adding that he has directed the U.S. Department of State to contact Americans stranded in Afghanistan by phone, email and other means, and that Washington had a plan to move them to the airport. Apollo James with more on this story.
Biden acknowledged the searing scenes at the U.S.-controlled Hamid Karzai International Airport, which have included babies and children being passed to soldiers over razor wire fences and men clinging to the outside of departing planes, but say they were part of the cost of departure. Since August 14th, the U.S.-led airlift has evacuated 28,000 people. That included 11,000 who departed from Kabul in a 36-hour period this weekend. Tens of thousands of people remain waiting to join the airlift, which has been slowed down by security issues and U.S. bureaucracy hurdles. Meanwhile, UK Armed Forces Minister James Hartley has said the Taliban were cooperating and marshalling people into queues at Hamid Karzai International Airport, making the process faster for those hoping to leave. The UK has evacuated 5,725 people since 13th August, and the UK has more than 1,000 armed forces personnel deployed in Kabul. Yesterday, Taliban fighters beat back thousands gathered outside Kabul airport desperate to flee, but witnesses say they had not seen anyone sustain significant injuries. The British Defense Ministry said 7 Afghans were killed in a crash at the gates, while a NATO official said at least 20 people have died in the past 7 days in and around the airport. Witnesses say the victims died by gunshot wounds or in stampedes. The U.S. military is currently controlling air traffic on the civilian and military sides of the airport, and Biden asserted without a full explanation that U.S. forces have managed to improve access to the airport for Americans and others seeking to get on flights.
Now, on this week's episode of Know Your CEO, we get to interact with Peter Yeko, the founder and CEO of HealthScope Medical Supplies. Take a look.
Ever want to know how a CEO sees his world? And here's how. Apart from running an organization and strategizing, their key role is to ensure there's money in the bank. Our CEO this week is Peter Ayeko, the founder and CEO of HealthScope Medical Supplies. Peter, thank you for creating time.
Thank you.
Kindly describe to us the kind of business you're running.
Thank you so much again, Lincoln. I run a company that supplies medical, that is supplies and the consumable, by the name HealthScope Medical Supplies and Pharmaceutical Company. This is a company that deals with the medical supplies and consumables in different departments. It also deals with the pharmaceutical products.
Peter, what prompted you to start this company?
Okay, being that I'm in the medical field, that is the first instance. When you go to study, sometimes you study something that you can practice later on. And what prompted me to start is that at all level of your costs, you will always not be an employee for someone for all the time. So I would always also like to create employment and also be a CEO of my own.
What year did you start this company?
Scope started in 2017 in my mind.
In your mind?
Yeah.
Were you still in school in 2017?
I was still in the university. I started HealthScope in my mind because I'd seen one in medical field, I specialize much in medical equipment and consumables. Being a medic, I knew very well when you get outside here, you have to either work or do something. So I had started building the castles in the air to see what kind of business can I do. And being that I'm a medic, I saw I can venture in medical field.
Peter, where did you get seed capital from?
I was saving some help loan, a bit small in the bank.
Yes.
So when I finished up, I realized I had like 102,000 shillings.
102,000 shillings?
Yeah, only. So these 102,000 shillings, I have a brother who is in the United States. He studied computer science. So he has built himself there, and I told him to help me with some loan so that I can move on. What I did with 1 or 2,000 in the bank, cooperative bank, I convinced them to give me a loan of around 400 and something thousand. So I was clinching to $500,000. Then I told my brother, now I'm having $500,000. You can add me like $500,000 or $1 million. My budget trades to in between that. So he told me, she actually sent for me 1.2 million. Yeah, that's what I saw. Now everything is possible, because from there now I know how to start.
Did you break even?
Yeah.
You did?
I
After
did.
how long?
As I can tell you, medical staffs have got good money.
Yes.
If you know how to execute and how to do business,
yes,
you're likely to make money.
So how many people are working under you?
Currently, I work with around 13 people.
13 people.
Yeah,
that you pay.
I've got
that
that I pay.
depend on
Yeah, that depend on me.
Now, Peter, this is a quick fire. You will loosen up a bit and get to know Peter a little in-depth away from the office. Peter, how's your typical day like?
My typical day is quite busy. As I told you, I also a representative of the biomedical at the Ministry of Health. So I get to work at the Ministry of Health, and I also get to work at the health school.
Yes.
And I also get to work around. So my typical day is usually a very busy day.
From 8 to 5?
From 8 to 5.
Yes.
And sometimes even going up to overtime of up to 8 or 7.
What do you do to unwind?
Me, I mostly do table tennis.
We should go head to head. I play table tennis too. On one game sometime soon. What's the largest amount of money you've made at a go?
Largest money I've made is 800,000 in a day.
In a day?
Yeah.
One go?
Yeah.
800K?
I've never
clean.
seen it.
Have you ever lost money? How much?
I've lost like 200,000 when there was a medical equipment I had supplied.
Yes.
And the driver got an accident.
And the equipment was spoiled?
The equipment was spoiled beyond damage. So that one was a very big, because this was a machine that is used in the maternity. It's called CTG.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's used to check the heartbeats of the fetus. So I'd lost it. It is 200,000.
Advice to biomed engineering students or people who want to venture into what you're doing right now.
It is easy to learn in the school and then come outside. It's very easy to follow that procedure.
Yes.
Because if you've been set for a target, like follow this table around,
yes,
then come to the center, you will exactly do that.
Yes.
Now the problem comes when you finish. Do you have any plan in your mind?
Yes.
What do you think? That's why you see most of the students now, even for the COOPs now, have realized that sometimes it is not just a bed of roses going to the university to do a course that will not help you later on. So at least maybe you do a diploma course at a college level, but you know you can do something practical when you get outside there. Another thing I would advise the young people like me is you should dare to dream.
Dare to dream?
Yeah. Nothing is usually easy.
Dare to dream?
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to dream and you have to always dare.
For Peter Ayako, the founder and CEO of HealthScope Medical Supplies, prayer and daring to dream are the key to success. The conversation on Know Your CEO. And from the sports desk, Faith Kipyegon sets a meeting record in the women's 1500 meters in the Wanda Diamond League 2021 following